Okay, we're live. Hello, welcome to the Cinema Savvy Movie Podcast, and welcome to a brand new episode of Battle of the Brackets. This might actually be our greatest episode yet, where we're arguing the greatest Star Wars character in anticipation for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which is released for us in the UK tomorrow at midnight. Can't wait for that. I'm sure we've all got our tickets booked for it. And we are joined on our panel today by the biggest Star Wars fans I know. Co-host, as always, George Aldridge. And on the panel today, we have Al Cooper, we have Phil and Adele from the YouTube channel Buckets of Awesomeness, and Dave from the YouTube channel Life of Brien. We have all spoken before. We met each other at Star Wars Celebration, and we're ready to bring the pain tonight where we're arguing for the greatest character. Friendships will be lost, but along the way, we will discover who that character is. George has prepared a picture of all the ones that we'll be arguing tonight, which you can bring up now.
So if you look at the screen, it should have round one, which is Luke Skywalker versus Han Solo, the Almighty Jar Jar Binks versus Grand Moff Tarkin, R5-D4 versus Jabba the Hutt, Senator / Chancellor / Emperor Palpatine versus Newt Gunray. I always said Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon Jinn versus Uncle Owen, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Yoda, Darth Vader v his daughter Leia, R2-D2 versus Mace Windu, and that's going to be our first round. I'm actually not fighting for the first ever time.
Yes, I decided to stand down.
I'm on a 2-match winning streak, so I would rather listen to this. In all honesty.
Quick whilst you're ahead on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm very intrigued to see how judging works, and yeah, I think it's going to be great fun. So, for those that don't know the rules, there will be a 1-minute opening battle, followed by a 1 minute by the second competitor, then 2 30-second rebuttals each, as usual. And in the final, we're going to stick with what we found out from last time, which is a 1.5-minute argument and a 45-second rebuttal. So it should be fun. Yeah. Who's up first? Because I should have had the list of who's fighting with who.
So it's Luke and Han up first.
Luke and Han first. I'm Han.
Phil versus Chris, right. Chris, you've got time. I'm going to need this to you.
Yep, I have the timer. So you have a minute, and when you're ready, go.
Okay, first up, without Luke, Han doesn't actually save Leia. So without Luke, you don't get Han saving Leia. You don't get the Falcon coming at the end. You don't get a lot of things happening. You kind of need Luke to bring Han into the fold, or else you're going, yeah, I'm just kind of along for the ride. Goodbye. Luke also has managed to destroy an AT-AT by himself, blows up a Death Star, leaves his training early to save said friend he brought into the whole thing, then afterwards has to go back and collect him as a piece of artwork. Yeah, without Luke, Han is just kind of along for the ride with a big furry rug. Yes, we all love Chewie, but you kind of have Chewie along with Han. So yeah, you kind of need Luke to bring R2 along. R2, sorry, you need Luke to bring Han along. R2's up there, he's later for me. My mind's going well ahead. But yes, no, Luke blows up the first Death Star. He manages to save Vader and bring him back to the light side. I mean, without that, again, you don't have him going forward, and you don't have him setting up the Jedi Academy. Without Luke,
and time
just stops. There you go.
Okay, my minute. Okay, so you say Luke is the hero of this entire saga, but let's be honest, even if we take Force Awakens into consideration, what does he do? He kind of hides on an island by himself for 30 years doing exactly nothing. He's not a compelling character, and even if we look at the original Star Wars, 1977, I would say Luke is kind of an unlikable character in that. He's very whiny, you know, the Tashi station to pick up some power converters, like Harrison Ford as Han Solo brings the personality. He is the leading man quality in that film, and that goes for all of the films that he appears in. He is the standout in Force Awakens. He had the greatest line with Chewie, "We're home," from that movie. And his character arc in the original film is just so compelling. And I would argue that he's the real hero of that film, because if he didn't come in at the last minute with the Falcon and Chewie and, you know, destroy the ships that were pursuing with Vader and breaking that up, then the Death Star wouldn't have been destroyed in the first place. Right, you have 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, you kind of say that, but without Luke, without bringing along 3PO, without bringing along R2, you don't get out of the trash compactor. You don't even get to Empire. You don't get to Han being that hero. You don't get any character progression with Han without Luke being there. And by the end of it all, you have someone who is determined to save everyone above himself. He leaves his training early to go and save his friends. Even though he comes back and it's too late, he tries to save everyone and do everything he can. He does it selflessly. Han's only...
And time.
Even he says that himself.
Time. Okay. Yes, but that may be true. But even when we talk about Empire, which many consider to be the best Star Wars movie, and although it touches on many of the characters in that film, at the forefront of that is the romance in that film, again with Harrison Ford, Han Solo. He's just such a likable character, and even from the first movie, it's almost like a spaghetti western. He's kind of that man with no name. And in that moment where he shoots Greedo first, and it's awesome and it's badass, it completely cements his character and shows his complete character journey rather than just kind of whiny lead character. Okay.
Half-witted, scruffy-looking motherfucker.
Yes, he is. That he may be. That he may be. Okay, so now we get to the voting. So, Brian, if we go with you first, who do you think argued better for their character?
I'm going to have to give this one to Han Solo. Chris, a good argument. I do think it's right that although, yes, Luke brought him into the story, I think, to be honest, him coming in at the end and not having Luke blown up by Vader just before he fires the proton torpedo sells it for me. So yeah, my point goes to Han Solo on this round.
Thank you very much.
Allow me.
Whoever wants to pitch in first, just go for it.
I'll go for it. I'm gonna give this to Luke because I think Phil made the stronger argument about what Luke does, and there's more mentioning of the later films. Chris got a very good put down with the episode 7, although we know that he wasn't hiding for 30 years. It was maybe 14. But I think the stronger argument was with Luke than it was Han Solo, which leaves it to Al for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one.
It sucks that these two characters are like in the first round, and one of them's not going to make it.
The first battle of the first
Well,
round.
I think both arguments are very, very strong. But I think I'm going to have to give it to Luke.
Yes!
Ooh.
Guns Vader, he's the one who, basically sets everything going in motion. He's the one who gets R2-D2 to the rebels again. I think, yeah.
Okay. I'm not okay with that, but I'm okay with that because Luke's a great character too. Wow.
He's not though. I like Han more.
As always, this isn't based on personal preference. This is based on the arguments. So Luke advances to the next round, and unfortunately, Han Solo bows out in grace in the first round.
At least he wasn't killed by his son this time.
This is true.
Saber through the chest.
Just his brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's his brother. Who has kissed his wife? It's kind of a...
Oh yeah, I've already just thought that's nasty. Right.
You put that in. I thought that might be part of your argument, but
Right. That leads us to round 2, which we have Jar Jar Binks and Al versus Grand Moff Tarkin and Dave. Chris, do you have your timer at the ready?
I do have my timer at the ready, so I'll start my timer when the argument begins.
Who's going first?
Al goes first. He is to get a Jar Jar out of Zidudu or whatever.
Okay, who's it against him? Grand Moff Tarkin. Okay, I can do this. Say when.
When? Go.
Okay, well, I know you don't like Jar Jar. He might be a bit of a weird character, but he is important to the storyline. He's the one who first connects with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon when they first get on. They're the ones who get them to Queen Amidala. He's the one who eventually joins the Senate, and he's the one who votes to get Palpatine executive powers. So when you think about it, he is quite integral to the story, and he is around for quite a long time. I mean, Episode 2 is 10 years after Episode 1. They could have dumped him and made him a lesser character, but he's brought into the story further, and he does play a role in the Senate and politics. He's a lot more than just a small character. He plays a role in the battle in Episode 1. He actually defeats a lot of droids. Perhaps that's by accident, but nevertheless, he's important to the story because that's what happens. That's what he does. He's important. He helps the Naboo and the Gungans reunite their friendship and bring peace. So he's a lot more than just a clown.
And time. Tarkin, you're up. Go.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Sorry.
Let's really that's okay. Grand Moff Tarkin. Let's get into it. Let's forget Vader. This in A New Hope is our main villain. Grand Moff Tarkin he's witty as Princess Leia comes up against. He's more evil than Darth Vader. This guy is willing to commit genocide just to kind of prove a point. That planet, yeah, it's gone. Millions of people dead. Jar Jar Binks, yes, it's a great point. He did help and started up the emergency powers with his Dello Feligates. But because of his Dello Feligates and everything he brought to that, he started the downfall of everything. If it wasn't for Jar Jar Binks, maybe things might have gone sweeter. Anakin might have just stayed at home and enjoyed his life. But no, Jar Jar. But it doesn't matter, because let's look at Grand Moff Tarkin more. This is a guy who is leading. He's not below Vader. He's well above Vader in ranking. I think he has more power over Vader.
Okay, Jar Jar, 30-second rebuttal. Go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, Grand Moff Tarkin doesn't really do a lot, does he? I mean, he might blow up the Death Star, but he's not as important as getting Palpatine those executive powers. I mean, yeah, you said Jar Jar is the downfall of it all, but that's why he's so important, because without him, episodes 5, 6, and 7 never would have happened. He's integral to the story and to the Senate. He's part of Palpatine's plan and
time.
Vegas' plan.
And time. Can I just say, I want to see the moment where Tarkin blew up the Death Star.
Yeah, I want to see that.
30 seconds, go.
I just can't get past this. Jar Jar was brought in as this. It was there as comedy value. Someone who will make poo jokes throughout a film is just not there. But Tarkin, I mean, let's just Peter Cushing playing Tarkin, and we all know that during that time, and that's the scene when he's there. He's telling Vader that he's got to let that guy go, not kill him. He's so powerful. Yes, he stays on with a sinking ship. He knows it's going down, but like a good captain, he stays.
And time.
And it's going to blow up, and that's what happened.
Wow. Okay, can I get on this one first?
Go for it.
Bring it.
I will say, Al, you'd made a valiant effort defending with the universe's
You really did.
character. And I will say that in terms of first round argument, I would have actually given it to Jar Jar. I thought you argued it very, very well. However, I think Brien beat you in the rebuttal. The whole thing, how he brought in terms of Peter Cushing's performance and how he was above Vader in being the main villain of that film. And having rewatched A New Hope again yesterday, and you rewatch it again, yes, he absolutely is the main villain of that film. Maybe if you'd have brought in some stuff about the technology, maybe to Jar Jar as well, about the whole first motion capture character, maybe that would have given a different side to the argument, but I think I'm going to have to give this one to Brian's argument for Tarkin.
Phil.
Unfortunately, Al, I'm going to have to side with Chris on this one. Well, so I'm going to give it to Tarkin, but it's because, unfortunately, yes, you did bring up some good points with Jar Jar, but I felt at the end of the first round, at the end of the first minute, and even the rebuttal, you kind of ran out of material to use. Because although, yes, Jar Jar is important, unfortunately, a lot of the points are, yes, he helped give the Chancellor his powers. Yeah, he helped give the Chancellor his powers. It's kind of...
It's important. It's important. Not good, but important.
That's a very good point, but I'm going to have to give it to Tarkin on this one.
George.
Yeah, it was a whitewash. You saying big doo-doo, sir. Yeah. Chris even stole my point. If you'd have brought up some of the motion capture stuff, you might have had a fighting chance, but all Dave had to do was bring up performance and just almost anything about Tarkin to beat Jar Jar Binks, and he did so.
I was just going to say Peter Cushing, then stop and sit and just let it go.
I will say, though, fair play to Al for having the balls to pick Jar Jar as his best character, so well done, man.
Yeah, right.
Forward, yeah.
It was worthy, but not just good enough. Right, should we roll on to the next round, which is Dave with R5D4 versus Phil's Jabba the Hutt, R5D4, you have a minute. Chris, do you have a timer?
I do, and I want to say that, Dave, you've been very vocal about your disdain for why you picked this character, but I'm very interested to
I
hear
know,
it.
you know, it seemed like a really good idea at the time. That would be funny then afterwards. Look, I should watch that say. No idea. Let's have a go though.
Well, I'm sure you've done lots of research on the character and the whole legacy of the
so much.
expanded universe. So, a minute on R5D4. Go.
R5D4 is the most important character in Star Wars. Maybe not the most. He plays, there's two turning points at the beginning of A New Hope. One is the guy in the Death Star who lets the escape pod fly straight on by because there's obviously nothing in it. But point two is R5D4. Does he have a good motivator? Then nothing happens. The saga stops there. He rolls out, he enjoys his life and works hard and is always happy and beeping and has many motivators. And let's not even go into any of the sort of comic books where he actually, that bad motivator wasn't a bad motivator. It was already a good motivator. Sacrificed himself with his force powers. So, you know what? I could try and argue this as well as I can. And that is really about it because he was in so little time. But I thought it was funny to try and do. And I've just embarrassed myself, really. It's, yeah.
And time. Valiantly done, sir. Okay. And we have Jabba the Hutt now. Okay, a minute with Phil and go.
Well, I'm not going to attack R5D4 straight away. I'm going to leave that for a bit later. First up, with Jabba the Hutt. In episode 1, he gives us probably the second best bit of the entire film. He gives us the pod race. Without that, you don't have Anakin kind of winning his freedom and actually starting his journey as a Jedi, which argues one of the most important things in the entire saga. Without that pod race, without him freeing himself. So you need Jabba to have his boredom and his interests. Along with that, though, with Jabba, you also get Boba Fett in episode 6. You get to see him with the fight. You also, because of all that, you get Leia in the gold bikini. You know, say more on that particular point in episode 6? I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, he gave R2 and 3PO jobs. Yeah, he made them. Jabba, you don't have vital services to the entire galactic empire, man. You need Jabba around. You just do. You just vital.
And time. Okay, 30-second rebuttal. Go.
Jabba the Hutt is a deviant. A great big slug-shaped deviant. He only put Leia in that outfit for one reason. Have you seen when he licks his lips as he pulls her in close? I don't like that. That's awful. And let's just put one point down here. CGI in A New Hope in the special edition made Han Solo have to step over his tail and ruined the scene. Done. Drops mic.
Okay, 30 seconds for Jabba. Go.
R5D4, bad motivator. That's the entire point of the film. I'm sorry, but you have to argue for R2 in the first place, with or without R5D4. But instantly goes, you know what, sorry. Also, he's in it twice. He doesn't usually truck along a blow up. He just happens to be back there again. I'm sorry,
I know, I love that.
the only way more screen time is by accident. I'm sorry, but bad motivator. A mistake giving an extra.
And time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was R5D4's force powers that teleported him back to the Jawas in that scene.
Oh,
Who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alistair, let's hear from you first. Who are you going to give your vote to?
Let's be honest, it sort of has to be Jabba, doesn't it?
Is no other reasons? Just it has to be Jabba.
I simply feel the arguments for R2D5 are just weak.
And I would never be able to argue again, so that's fine. Let's.
He happened to have a bad motivator. Whether you say it was on purpose or not is a matter of debate. Whereas Jabba did do a lot. Fair enough. I mean, he's a crime boss, but he got a lot done. Fair play to him. Low unemployment. Putting Carrie Fisher in a bikini. Fair play. Give him a cookie. I'm happy. Yeah. Jabba.
Can I get in on this one? Okay, I'm actually going to disagree. I think that Dave had the better argument for R5D4, and here's why. Apart from Jabba offering jobs to droids, out-of-work droids, I didn't really hear much more about his character. It was kind of characters around him, like Boba Fett and slave Leia, and whilst they're great characters themselves, it wasn't really anything to do with Jabba himself. So, the whole thing about, if he didn't have a bad motivator that day, or maybe he did have a good motivator in the first place, I think Dave had the better arguments for I5D4. I can't believe I'm saying that, because I love Jabba the Hutt, and also I think he had you on the ropes a little bit with the special edition, and I'd like to have seen you kind of combat that a little bit more. I love both characters, but I'm putting an R5D4 through. George, you have the deciding vote.
I would give Dave a lot of credit. R5D4, he got a lot more time than I thought he would do. I love the fact he brought in that R5D4 was the chosen one, that he knew all along. However, I think Phil's argument was stronger. And I love the fact he brought in episode 1, because I love the pod race. And it was cool to not just relate it to the original trilogy, because he is in it earlier on.
Yeah.
So I'm sending through Jabba the Hutt. Insert two-headed commentator mentor.
Garnet.
Unfortunately, R5D4's motivator wasn't good enough to take him through to the next round.
I'm quite entertained by the idea of R5D4 going forward and having no argument. Go blow your load a little early on that one. It's like, and here's
I had to.
Now that Jar Jar's out of this fight, I think R5D4 is the key to all this, because he's a funnier character than we've ever had before. Okay, oh my god, this fight now is going to be a fight of the ages. We have Emperor Sheev Palpatine against everyone's favourite Nemoidian, Newt Gunray.
Is that legal?
I'm not even sorry. Just prepare your anus.
Oh, I'm prepared, sir, and I will fight valiantly for Newt Gunray. But Sheev Palpatine is up first, so are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay, minute on the clock. Go.
Oh my goodness, how can you say that Sheev Palpatine isn't the most important character in Star Wars? Even if you ignore the whole subplot of Plagueis and Palpatine creating Anakin, think about the preparation it took for him to rise to the rank of Emperor. He starts out as a lowly senator, and then somehow gets it to the place where there's a separatist war, and then gets himself voted emergency powers to become Chancellor, and then manages to hang on to that power. And then even though when the Jedi tried to assassinate him, he's found a way to create a clone army to destroy the Jedi without the Jedi even knowing at this point, and they're a big force in the galaxy. Even though he's crippled, he's still able to convince the Senate of what's going on. It's mental. You think about the sheer mental gymnastics he's got to get people to go through to be able to trust him after everything he's been through and all the wars. Seriously, there's not one bad bit of press about him. There's not one person who doesn't quite trust him until Anakin says he's the Sith Lord. Even Mace Windu was like, really?
And time. Okay, Newt Gunray. Okay, I'm going to level with you. I'm going to go for broke on this one. Yes, he might not have as much of an involved backstory and legacy that Palpatine does, but if you're looking for the most tragic character of the entire Star Wars saga, you may go to Vader, for example. I think Newt Gunray is that tragic character. This is a guy who's just trying to make his way in the galaxy. He is the head of the Trade Federation. He's a man of business. He's a man of principle. And unfortunately gets brought into these 3 schemes throughout the prequels. He's a very naive character. And I think he has a lot of sympathy, because even when he gets arrested at the end of Phantom Menace, even though he's technically our bad guy, other than Darth Maul, you kind of feel bad for him. He's like in over his head, and he's just a likable character. Racial stereotypes aside, granted, I think that there's a lot to the character, and it's ultimately that tragic moment in episode 3 when he gets killed and he says the war is over, he promised us peace, and that's all he wanted. He's a hero because, like Luke Skywalker and the other heroes, he wanted peace. 30 seconds, go.
I would disagree with that. Newt Gunray was trying to take over Naboo and try to get power and money before the separatist movement even started. It's clearly about greed, and he's not a pitiable character. He might be an idiot, but it doesn't make him pitiable. He's useless. Palpatine absolutely manipulated everyone. He fooled the Jedi. He fooled Yoda. He almost defeated Yoda in single combat. How can you not say he's the most popular character? Anakin was supposed to bring balance to the Force, and at the point, the only Sith Lord was Palpatine.
And the Emperor's weakness is his overconfidence. And let's not go into the whole Ewok debacle from Return of the Jedi. You know, you're saying he's the ultimate evil power. He's the mastermind of everything. Yeah, he didn't count on the Ewoks beating the Empire, did he? Newt Gunray, although he's very naive and stupid, never made a huge, big mistake like that with the Emperor. Newt Gunray, very sympathetic character, head of an entire trade federation. And, you know, he makes some good connections. He got in league with Dooku. He got in league with Sidious. So clearly he's got a lot of clout in the business world. There we go. Okay.
Could I not open the door for Anakin, you know, just say. So, yeah.
I will understand how the votes are going to go in this one, but okay.
I want to lead on this one, if that's all right.
Go for it. Go for it.
This is going to come as actually quite a shock, but I'm going to give this one to Newt Gunray.
What the fuck? Why? Why?
Am I this bad at arguing? Am I this rubbish?
I didn't hear much for Ian McDermott's performance. I mean, you've missed out one massive chunk of argument there. Ian McDermott's performance of Palpatine is immense throughout all, throughout all of his performances. And
I didn't know you could bring in that. I thought it was all about the character, not the
no,
performance.
you can bring in just that extra. We both of us have brought in before. And actually, I just felt that the character of Newt and even his accepted stupidity and naivete was brought into it. I have to give this one to Newt, I'm afraid. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's going to Gunray.
Thank you. George or Dave?
I will attempt this. I think in the start, Al spoke of Palpatine, but then he, not just what he did, but he mixed in the fact that it did show how blind the Jedi were. I liked that argument. And then I think he attacked Chris stronger on the rebuttal. I think he had a strong argument overall. Feels right about performance. However, there may be more chances for him to bring that in across the next few rounds. But I'm giving the vote. I thought Chris did well with Newt Gunray, but yeah, he did well. Dave, you've got the decider.
And Chris, as much as I love the Newt Gunray argument, it was as well held as my arguments. A few more points, but Al, I'm giving this to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with Palpatine. The amount of work he had to put in to get to where he needed to be and keep that power. Absolutely, I'm with it.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't do my research on Newt Gunray. We don't get much in the movies, I'm afraid. I don't read the expanded universe as much. Okay, Palpatine moves to the next round. Do we have an updated image?
We do. We have a halfway through image. If you see on the screen, we've already got 2 quarterfinals prepared, which is Luke Skywalker v Grand Moff Tarkin and Jabba the Hutt versus Senator Chancellor Emperor Sheev Palpatine. And we are commencing the second half of round 1, which will begin with Qui-Gon Jinn versus Uncle Owen.
And to coin a phrase that Al came up with, because Liam Neeson is his favourite character. I keep calling him Liam Neeson. Sorry, Qui-Gon Jinn. Hashtag dicks out for Qui-Gon. So get that trending, everyone, but keep it clean. Okay, so Qui-Gon versus Uncle Owen.
I went first last time, so I think you should go first this time.
Okay, I'll do my very best.
Okay, a minute. Uncle Owen, go.
Uncle Owen. This is the man who instilled everything that was part of him. This hard-working farmer who instilled everything in Luke. All his sensibilities that he took forward came from Uncle Owen and Beru at some point. But Uncle Owen was a strong figure. He didn't want Luke to join the Imperial Academy. Wouldn't let him go off to do that. Wanted to keep him at home, keep him safe. Knew he had, like you said, too much of his father in him, but he knows that. And I think he can see the way this could go if Luke goes off and follows Obi-Wan, who he met for like 20 minutes and was suddenly a father figure. But for me, Uncle Owen is by far just a really strong character. And yes, he ends up really crispy. But the way he looked after Luke and brought him up as his own, that is why I feel Uncle Owen is the better character.
Okay. Rebuttal, go.
I'm going to go on a bit of a different tack here. I'm going to say Uncle Owen was with Luke for a hell of a long time, many years of his life. But as soon as Owen died, Luke went off. And frankly, he wasn't that bothered about Owen dying. He was more bothered about Obi-Wan. And he'd only known him about a week. Qui-Gon barely knew Anakin. I mean, he'd only just met him, and he'd already identified that he was possibly the chosen one, definitely a Jedi, and then made the point to the Jedi Council that he has to be trained, and insisted, even when Yoda said it's a bad idea. Without Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan wouldn't have trained him, and in fact, Obi-Wan wouldn't have been trained. And so, without Qui-Gon, none of it would have happened. Qui-Gon was the one who helped. He was one of the ambassadors since the Trade Federation. He helped on Naboo. He didn't quite defeat Darth Maul, but come on, you gave it a pretty good crack, let's be fair. Without Qui-Gon, a hell of a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened. In fact, Obi-Wan said he should have been on the Jedi Council, but he followed his heart too much, and it wasn't so subservient. Qui-Gon being like that, none of it would have happened.
Okay, rebuttal, go.
Qui-Gon Jinn just couldn't leave it alone, could he? Turns up, random planet, picks out little boys, takes them places. Not only that, he cheats at a chance cube game, and that's how he got him. If he'd let that play out, as he should have, as a Jedi would have, then maybe we could have had episode 1, a charming story about Shmi Skywalker. But no, and her adventures, no, we were stuck. Qui-Gon Jinn should have left well alone.
Can I just say I really want to see Star Wars: A Charming Adventure with Shmi Skywalker? Okay, 30-second rebuttal for Qui-Gon Jinn. Go.
But that's the whole point about Qui-Gon. He doesn't always do what a Jedi perhaps is strictly supposed to do. Maybe that's a trait that rubbed off slightly on Anakin. But nevertheless, if he hadn't cheated the game of chance, he wouldn't have got Skywalker free, and he wouldn't have been able to train Anakin. Well, Obi-Wan trained Anakin, and you would never have balance brought to the Force in the end. I mean, Alderaan, for God's sake, millions of people died in a way because of Qui-Gon. It's not a good thing, but it's important. He's the best character.
It's time. What a hell of an ending argument there.
That's using a thermal exploder device there. Yeah, no.
Phil, getting on this one. Who are you taking through to the next round?
I have to give you a commendable effort for defending Uncle Owen there, but I've got to go with Qui-Gon. I mean, yeah, Uncle Owen, yeah, got a good suntan in the end, I guess, but yeah, apart from that, really didn't do much for me on that one, I'm afraid. Got to go with Qui-Gon.
George?
Yeah, it's a whitewash for Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
I thought it was a convincing argument for Uncle Owen, but again, I think he's one of them picks that to win he must have been on some real crazy stuff. The argument was just stronger. There's a lot more for Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I'll agree. I did like the point, however, about that he raised Luke and that Baru kind of did something in between making blue milk and pouring bizarre vegetables in a blender. But no, I think there was a lot more going for Qui-Gon, and that last argument really kind of tipped it for me for Qui-Gon. So Qui-Gon goes through.
That's my vote as well.
Yeah. Okay, this is an interesting one now. In many ways, Master and Apprentice, although the prequels kind of tinkered with that, with the aforementioned Qui-Gon Jinn. In our next round, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Yoda. So I guess I'm up first for Obi-Wan, right?
Yep.
Okay, right.
The Apprentice can go first on this one.
Hmm?
The Apprentice can go first.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Okay.
Trash talk.
All right.
Sick burn.
Right. Obi-Wan Kenobi, old Ben Kenobi. So I'm going to start with the originals as they were made. So we have Alec Guinness. I'm going to talk performances first. Who was an Oscar-winning actor, Oscar-nominated actor before, and he really brings that gravitas of this character now. He's a very larger-than-life character. He's like a space wizard, and when we first see Star Wars as a movie, there's a lot to take in with the creatures and the vehicles and the setting and everything like that, but he makes it believable, and he brings a weight to it. And even with no knowledge of the prequels that they're even going to be a thing, when he delivers that monologue to Luke in his little hut, the pauses and the inflections and his expressions really give history to this character. And true, Alec Guinness didn't even like playing in the film, really. He thought it was very stupid, but his presence in that film is phenomenal. And just what Obi-Wan Kenobi accomplishes, he trains Luke. He saves him from the Sand People, and even helps him after he dies and helps him blow up the Death Star. Go.
Yeah, you mentioned Obi-Wan training Luke. Unfortunately, sorry, Yoda did far more to train Luke. He actually got him out there and taught him many more skills. Yeah, Obi-Wan was there in the background going, yeah, you don't need your targeter. Apart from that, didn't really do much. And yeah, I mean, Yoda, he trained generations upon generations upon generations of Jedi long before that. He trained Qui-Gon, he trained Luke, he trained Obi-Wan, he trained Dooku, he trained, that was a bit of a soft spot for on that one. He trained many Jedi. He basically created the Order as we knew it in the prequels. He's the most powerful Jedi by far. He helped the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. He helped actually dissuade people and dismiss Order 66 and told people to stay away from the temple. Without that, Obi-Wan may not have even made it back properly, to intercept all of that. I'm sorry, but Obi-Wan did some good stuff.
And time. But without Obi-Wan, who would have sent Luke to Yoda in the first place? He appears as a spectral vision in Empire Strikes Back, and Yoda didn't reach out through the Force to talk to Luke, did he? That was all on Obi-Wan. And if we talk about the prequels now as well, the prequels are often clearly slated, but one of the strongest points in that was Ewan McGregor's performance, and he is fantastic in that role, really brings away. He brings that friendship and that tragedy with the whole relationship between him and Anakin. He's a compelling character. He does so much for the franchise, and Yoda's kind of boring in the prequels. Go.
Okay, you talk about performance, but what about Yoda's performance? A puppet. You understand, yes, the Muppets were around this particular point. That's just time to stop puppet. This was advanced, and it's the first time ever you had a creature like that who we actually believed could be real. And you had Luke interacting with him in a way that made it all feel real. You talk about performance, I don't think you can get over Yoda's gravitas. Apart from that, he's also a badass fighter. I'm sorry, he can actually deflect Force lightning back at people. He's the only Jedi that
and time. That was tough. That was a good fight.
Al, do you want to go first? Because I don't have a clue at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
The thing that's sticking in my craw a bit, I think, is when Chris said that Yoda's a bit boring in the prequels.
I wish I could have developed.
I wouldn't say that's
more.
true. I wouldn't say it's true, but I think I know what you mean. Yoda is sort of as you would expect, whereas you do get real gravitas with, and I think, as you say, he did train Luke. He did start it all off, even beyond the grave, and he could have said, "You know what, bollocks to it, I'm dead. I'm going home." So, fair enough. I think I'm going to have to give it to Obi-Wan because Yoda didn't even want to train Luke to start with.
He is too old to begin the training. Dave, have you arrived at a decision? Or George? Or...
to be honest, this is a really, really tough call. Both arguments were actually excellent. Some really, really great points. Over the entire series, Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably my favorite. I love Alec Guinness. I love Ewan McGregor in Episode 3. I think he absolutely nailed Obi-Wan Kenobi in that. But when you talk about characters this time, and when you brought up the Empire puppet and the selling of that piece of rubber to be a character in a major motion picture that wasn't stupid, I'm going to give it to Yoda.
And George, another decider. We've had a lot of deciders on this one, actually. So, George, who's going through, Obi-Wan or Yoda?
Obi-Wan is without doubt in my top 3 favourite Star Wars characters. However, I think the argument for Yoda was stronger. So I'm going to send Yoda through. I thought Chris nailed it with the performances, but Phil matched and bettered that with the puppet stuff because that is something that needed to be brought up. That essentially swayed the decision for me.
I wish I could. That was a fight that could have gone on for rounds because I wanted to touch on the CGI Yoda, but it's tough arguing. It really is tough to get it all condensed into a minute.
One
and
that
30
I
seconds.
forgot right at the end of Jailbreak, I didn't get quite enough time for is you talk about the ghost coming back. Well, who actually told Obi-Wan that was possible? Who
actually did it in the first place? Qui-Gon.
You already won.
Before I move on with that one, because I'm off Obi-Wan onto my next opponent, I have to just get that last little.
Yeah.
No, that was a respectful fight between two great Jedi masters.
That was crap.
But Yoda continues on through. Now we have father and daughter. Darth Vader versus Princess Leia Organa.
I'm looking forward to this one, I have to admit.
So I'm offering to defect this over first to Leia because I went first in the last round, but that's up to everyone else. Is everyone cool with that, or?
I don't mind.
Yeah, either way,
Yeah.
man. Anyway.
Okay, so a minute for Princess Leia. I don't know who's arguing for that one.
That's me. That's me again.
Okay, Dave,
Okay.
you're up. A minute.
Yeah.
Go.
Princess Leia. Let's not argue as just the greatest of the Star Wars characters. Let's put her out as the greatest female character in movies, sci-fi, science fiction. Let's put her out as movies' greatest character. She's strong. She's funny. She's a wholly rounded character. Even you could put her in a metal bikini. It doesn't really make her a damsel in distress at any time. I think she was in full control of what she was doing there. There's just really, when you look at it, she was force sensitive. She could remember her mother, even though obviously she met her for all of 5 seconds coming from areas. How she remembered that is great. But yeah,
Thanks, George Lucas.
to be force sensitive, maybe, to be honest, had Obi-Wan gone to her rather than Luke, I just think she was the stronger character of the two siblings, and in my own opinion, would have made the better lead character.
Okay. So I'm going to go on the attack on Leia a little bit here. So I will agree, in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, she's great, she's feisty, she's everything that everyone describes her as. However, in Return of the Jedi, she kind of really doesn't accomplish all that much. I mean, she's kind of slave Leia, and then on Endor, she really doesn't do much. Darth Vader. I mean, I really could just end the argument there. Darth Vader is he is the most iconic movie bad guy ever. He really is. And not only is he a bad guy, but it's ultimately what the entire story of the saga is about. It's his fall to the dark side and his redemption at the end. And you go from a character that you love to hate, and he's so evil and just like, he's killing his own people, he's force choking them. But then at the end, in one silent moment that wasn't tarnished by the Blu-rays, where he's looking back at his son being tortured, and you can see it all behind a helmet. Just like, you don't even need to see his face. You see it all from the expression on the helmet, and he saves his son, and he brings balance to the Force, which is more than Leia ever did. Go.
Darth Vader is a wheezing, coward, bully in a big suit of armor. We all know that all he's doing is doing as much as possible so the Emperor will keep him on board, knowing full well all the Emperor wants to do is get his son and go, you know what, that old man inside that suit we can get rid of. He is no good to me. He can do nothing. Have you seen him over there with his asthma? Darth Vader is nothing of a character. Nothing.
Wow. I would actually say there is a lot to his character. In the first movie, when it was made as kind of a standalone space movie, yeah, he is kind of the henchman. He's kind of the guy who goes and rounds people up and all that good stuff. But then his character gets so much more fleshed out. And what's great about the character is it's all done in this sort of like void of a costume, just this black, like hulking mass of a costume, and you get all the emotion from it. The voice of James Earl Jones, David Prowse doing the movements, it all combined together to make such a phenomenal character. Okay. And that's it, guys.
I'm going to go first. I think Chris made a stronger argument with Vader. His attack on Leia wasn't good, but I don't feel that Vader was attacked well enough. All you had to do was bring up a UN Angel.
That's a good point. No one brought up Anakin. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I think because of the attack not being strong enough, and you both defended your characters well, I really like Dave's argument that she's one of the best female characters in the history of Star Wars. However, I think the Vader argument was stronger.
And Alistair?
Yeah, I think with Vader you missed a trick. You should have brought up the mishandling of Vader's fall in the prequels.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, Leia's a good character, but I feel like Chris attacked it not enough, but I don't think you needed to, because you're from such a position of strength to begin with. I have to give it to Vader. As you say, it's all about Vader. It's the Vader show.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to see you go through, Dave, at least one of these, you're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take it. I've all got to say that on this.
I felt bad saying it. My big glass collection of Darth Vader things be right behind me. I could feel him looking at me as I said it. No.
Okay, so we move on to our final round of round one, which is R2D2 versus Mace Windu. This is going to be a very, very interesting fight. We've seen droids fight in this match before. So R2 is up next. So who is arguing for R2D2?
That'll be me.
Okay, Phil, your minute starts now.
You say you've seen droids before, but you haven't seen the droid. Without R2D2, you don't get the entire saga because he kind of saved the Naboo cruiser and Padme. Without that, without them actually escaping Naboo, you do not get anything else. I'm sorry, that is the most potent argument here. Without R2 actually saving the cruiser, he doesn't get off Naboo. You don't meet Anakin, you don't meet anyone else. You don't get much further in the story. I mean, you don't get anywhere in the story apart from that. Even if you talk just about the prequels, he managed to get Anakin off of autopilot to help him actually escape and help him blow up the Trade Federation ship. He managed to help 3PO get his head back. I mean, come on. I mean, he managed to help him put him back together, even with Anthony Daniels going, "Oh, I'm quite beside myself." Even with all that, he managed to help it, man. He managed to help Anakin and Obi-Wan rescue the Chancellor with the lift. He managed to burn droids alive using the using jets and the oil.
And time.
Badass.
Okay, Mace Windu, go. Mace Windu, go. Go, Mace Windu.
Yes, just go.
Begin. Commence. Mace Windu, you're
Wow.
on. Now's your time to shine. Go, argue for Samuel Jackson.
My character.
Yes.
Okay.
Your time is ticking, sir.
He's one of the Jedi Council, for God's sake. Okay, he killed Jango Fett. He didn't kill Count Dooku, but he did all right. He almost killed Palpatine. He was the turn into the dark side by saying what the Jedi could really be like, vicious killers. He's the guy who basically changed everything. Without Mace Windu trying to kill Chancellor Palpatine, tried to, kill him, turn to the dark side. He's one of the main catalysts in the story. That I can't believe I completely forgot that I picked him as a character.
You've got 15 seconds, man.
He's worried about Anakin being arrogant and training him, and of course that immortal line, "If you're right about Palpatine, I'll trust you." Come on.
Okay.
And I forgot.
And 30-second rebuttal.
I completely forgot. Blanked.
And Phil, go.
Yeah, I've got so much material I could go on for the original trilogy, but on the front of Mace Windu, he's so close to being this grey Jedi, almost the dark side. He's just an angry, just arrogant person who just thinks he's better than everyone, including Anakin and Yoda and everyone else. And I don't think that Samuel L. Jackson's performance was that strong. With Kenny Baker, rest in peace, his performance shone through that metal can. You have him putting his entire performance through to give it that childlike personality, to give it life.
And
Without that,
time.
Yeah.
Mace Windu. Ow. Mace Windu. 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, but R2D2 is great, but when you come to the prequels, he's more of a comedic character. All the little fizzy pop noises he makes when he squirts the droids with oil and then sets them on fire, they treat him more as a joke than as a serious character who saves lives like he did Luke. So really, Mace Windu, serious the whole way through. I mean, he really adds to the story. None of his scenes could be taken out of the film without it detracting something. He always contributes something to all of the Jedi Council discussions.
Time. Ooh.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it, George.
I'm sending Phil through because, I'm giving Phil my vote because it was a stronger argument. He knew who he was fighting for as well. And I think the R2D2 argument is just more convincing of why he was the better character.
I'll be honest, I spent the whole week thinking about Qui-Gon.
Priorities.
I don't blame you for
that. Dave?
Yeah, I just think Bill Jackson's Mace Windu kind of takes me out of the films every time he comes on screen. Although, yeah, he's a great character, but more of an angry sort of guy. R2D2 is the droid that knows everything. He knows what's going on from the start right through. R2D2 for me, absolutely.
let's just be honest, we wanted Jules from Pulp Fiction as a Jedi, didn't we? That's the Samuel Jackson we all wanted. Unfortunately, it's the one we did get. Yeah, I'd put R2-D2 through as well.
So would I.
I would say that I did like your rebuttal, Al, about how R2's played more for laughs in the prequels, but I think at that point, the damage had already been done, and let's be honest, there is a lot more material for R2 to argue with. So I'm putting R2 through. It's a clean sweep. And that completes round 1. So, George, do we have an updated image?
Done, gentlemen.
Yeah, we have a new image. As you see from the quarterfinal picks, we have Luke versus Grand Moff Tarkin, Jabba the Hutt versus Senator Chancellor Palpatine, Qui-Gon Jinn versus Yoda, Darth Vader versus Kenny Baker, and if you glance your eyes to many of the small images, you can see not just these people getting eliminated, but all of their death scenes. Except Jar Jar Binks, who for some reason didn't die and everyone else has.
It's on a wall in Kanata's castle. We all know it. We just can't find it.
It's not been a good fate for many of these. And Leia, she hasn't died yet. I don't know if Kylo Ren would take his
on this one. He's gone 0-4.
So at the midway point, have we had any ones that have really shocked us so far that we didn't expect to either go through or expect to go out? Or...
I got to vote for R5D4. That has to give me some points somewhere. I've got to vote. Come on.
Hey, you've got a vote from me.
I've got
I know, thank you.
There.
I thought Obi-Wan would get through, to be fair, but he didn't.
Yeah,
that was a tough fight.
The puppet argument absolutely swayed that one for me. That's where
definitely.
That was a tough one. I'll give you that one. That was hard.
Yeah, that was like a battle where you shake hands with the opponent at the end. That was like the most respectful fight we've had.
Luke versus Han and Yoda versus Obi, my favourite ones to do from that first round. It was just tough slog both ways.
When they got put into the bracket and the image came out, I thought this is going to be heartbreaking because one of these has got to go out.
One's going.
Yeah. But for those watching at home, please comment and subscribe. Let us know who your favourite Star Wars character is. Have any surprised you so far? Which characters that we haven't picked would you have liked to have seen in the brackets? And while you do that, I think we're ready to move on to round 2, where things heat up, things get tougher, and we have to think outside the box more for our arguments. So I believe it's Luke Skywalker versus Tarkin as our first fight.
Yeah. And that is...
I've enjoyed being with you guys today.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Tarkin might go through. Maybe, possibly. We'll find out. So Luke Skywalker is up first.
Yep.
Minute on the still minute on the clock. Yeah, minute on the clock for Luke.
Yeah.
And go.
Okay, first up, Tarkin. I have to say. Retreat in a moment of triumph? Never! His arrogance kind of gets him killed. And yes, okay, he kind of holds Vader's collar in the first episode 4. But apart from that, he really doesn't add too much to it. Yeah, okay, it's cool to in blow up Alderaan, but yeah, he's a bit of a psychopath going, I'm just going to blow up the line to prove a point. Luke, however, on the other hand, comes from nowhere. He, as they managed to blow up the Death Star, not only once, but helps to blow up it the second time by getting causing distraction whilst Han and everyone else is blowing up the shield generator. Without Luke turning Vader back to the light side. You don't have Vader actually killing the Emperor. We don't have everything going forward. And again, we don't know what's coming up for episode.
And time. Okay, Tarkin, you're up. Minute, go.
Let's not focus so much on Tarkin in the second round. Let's look at Luke a little bit. Yes, let's get past his whining. Really helps blow up the second Death Star? Questionable. I would think that was more Palpatine falling into the core with the lightning a go. And that was down to Vader, really. Luke just happened to be there, I suppose, fighting a little bit, whinging on the floor. Help us! Oh, he's hurting us! Lightning! You know what? That's just the whingy farm boy came back. Grand Moff Tarkin, if that had been him there, he would have been on that floor, stoic, taking a British upper lip about it. His slippers might have come off with the power of the Force lightning, but it would have been fine. Grand Moff Tarkin greater than Luke Skywalker, because Luke Skywalker oh, look, I've got one hand. Oh, and I've got a lightsaber that's going to end up in a castle in a long time. And then I'm going to hang out in these rocks in Ireland.
And time. Okay, rebuttal.
I'd like to see Grand Moff Tarkin blow up an AT-AT by himself. Not only does Luke manage to save himself from the speed of crashing, he manages to get out and blow up an AT-AT and continue fighting. You say Luke is whiny. I'm sorry, but he just has a grit that keeps on going, and he has compassion. He has the heart of a Jedi, whereas Grand Moff Tarkin is dead inside. I'm sorry, but I just don't see. And Mark Hamill's portrayal going from a young person to Luke at the end. I'm sorry, but it's just
Tarkin
who couldn't blow up an AT-AT with a grappling hook and one grenade? Apparently, anybody could have done that. That could have been Dak, and he was already dead. I can not really argue this any further. Tarkin is who he is. He's in Episode 4. He's an amazing character, played so well by Peter Cushing, but I think this may be the end of his journey.
Oh, you're going to end it on that? No, come on. I demand a better sentence for the end of Tarkin.
I'm okay with that.
Charming to the last.
Yes. Okay, I just want to say that I love that the slipper comment got brought up. I was really hoping it would. I like that got some notice. I'm going to defect over to George for this one.
Tarkin argument was strong, as was Luke's. He also used a lightsaber to destroy the AT-AT though. However, due to Dave essentially throwing the towel, I'm giving it to Luke.
Yeah, you're right.
You could have kept going. It would have been harder to judge, but you did the work for me, so thank you.
Alistair?
I think that Tarkin was valiantly argued, and I think that Luke's arguments were not as vehement, but were better. So, unfortunately, sadly, inevitably, Luke.
I'm going to have to give it to Luke too, and it's a shame because I thought you were doing really well with Tarkin, and then in the last bit,
I kind of lost. I kind of ran out of steam with what I had to say about Tarkin, and just
it's interesting as well.
At least you remembered who you were.
Yeah. I was going to say, we did agree that to not bring in all the expanded universe as much. Like, I know we've sort of glossed over bits, but there is a great novel called Tarkin, which fits into the new now.
It gives you so much more background on the character, and also why in episode 4 he's able to tell Vader to release him, because it explains their relationship so much better. I highly recommend that novel. I finished it a few days ago, because then I finished Aftermath Volume 2, and I'm on Catalyst.
I did want to try and get it read before this, but I had no, and it's not being brought in really to the argument, so it kind of was. But yeah, it's a good fight. It was just I don't think I could have taken him any further than I had.
No, you did well on that one.
So we move on to our next fight, which is Jabba the Hutt versus Emperor Sheev Palpatine. Two despicable characters in very, very different ways. So Jabba is up first. A minute argument against Palpatine. So when you're ready,
okay.
Go.
All right.
Do it.
As I've given a lot of reasons why Jabba is the best character, but I can give you more on why Emperor Palpatine isn't always cracked up to be. Let me just put it straight forward. The fight versus the Jedi. We're here to arrest you for the Jedi Master. I'm sorry, that is the worst fight scene in the entire saga. He manages to kill 3 of them with ease, and the whole fight against Mace Windu, who's apparently one of the strongest Jedi to live, is very much this. It's poor. And he has to try and convince Anakin, I'm a weak-old man. You call Luke whiny? No, Emperor's whiny. That's what he's dying. Don't let him kill an old man. No, I'm sorry. I just don't buy it. I'm sorry on that one. And he gave Han extra time also to pay back his debts. Jabba was like, okay, you stepped over my tail in a horrible CGI way, but he gave him extra time to pay his debts. Jabba's a good man or good slug at heart, if he has
and time. So Palpatine, 1 minute, go.
Do it. Okay. Jabba doesn't add anything to the story, actually, when you think about it. If like Han wasn't in debt to Jabba, there would be no interaction with him at all. If you ignore the prequels, and even if it wasn't the prequels, it would just be Tatooine and Qui-Gon would find a way to get Anakin out because he cheated anyway, let's be honest. Palpatine has spent years and years meticulously planning every step of his rise to being emperor. My God, he manipulated so many systems and the Trade Federation into starting a separatist war, only to get himself elected with more emergency powers to emperor and ended the war. And he pretended to be Cypher Dyas, or rather Dooku did, to make the clones. He did all this under the Jedi's nose when they were a major force in the galaxy. Think about the sheer skill and the ace in the hole. It's coming out. When Anakin confronts him and Palpatine says, "I'm the Sith Lord." Imagine that.
Okay, Jabba the Hutt, go.
Yeah, you can't say all that. Him getting his emergency powers, his entire grand plan hinged on a Gungan. Everything went down to his stupid Gungan. The worst character we could have had in the entire prequel. And you talk about, the Emperor crafting his rise to power. What about Jabba and the Hutt cartel getting their rise to power? Being a crime lord ain't easy, man. Crime does not pay, but he can't pay. I'm sorry about that. Chimpai is on a woman as well. I'm sorry about that.
Stop. Time.
Woman.
Okay, go.
Okay, apart from getting Leia in a gold bikini, which we all admit is a good idea, it doesn't add anything to the last three films at all. But think about what the Emperor does. I mean, the portrayal by Ian McDiarmid is fantastic. You think about the opera scene, that absolutely sells it. The sincerity, the part when he finally reveals to Anakin in his office that he's the Sith Lord, and he begs Anakin to join him. When Anakin's got his lightsaber out and raises at him, and he knows that Anakin wants to kill him. Think about.
Can I get on this one first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a really, really good fight. However, I think I'm going to have to give it to Palpatine just purely based on how much time we have with Palpatine and his plan. I think Al did a really good argument for that. And Phil, you did too for Jabba the Hutt. However, I think it is kind of mostly limited to one movie with Jabba the Hutt. However, you did say the Hutt cartel, and I would love to see a Star Wars Netflix series like Breaking Bad, but with the Hutt clan. That would be great. But I'm going to have to give it to Sheev, I'm afraid.
I feel like I could have argued better, but thank you.
And I will also have to go with Palpatine. The amount of time that he has, Tim is. I don't think there's an argument with Jabba the Hutt. Unfortunately, I just don't think he has enough behind him. So yeah, my vote goes to Palpatine as well.
I was actually going to give it to Jabba. I thought the argument was a bit stronger. It just wasn't enough, maybe. But that sends Sheev through to the next round, I believe.
Yeah.
I'd say against Palpatine, I didn't think I'd have a hope in hell, so I just
Very well, sir. Very well.
I mean, R5D4 is an easy fight to Emperor.
R5D4 should have automatically been in the final, just for the arguments.
He got one.
I did like how you brought up the Chimpais, though. The Chimpais was a great comment. Was it Clive Revel? Was the original Emperor? Yeah. Okay. Our next fight is.
I think it was actually on Clive Revel's wife as well. It was a really weird one.
Yeah. Okay, our next fight is, again, I kind of want to say Master and Apprentice in some way. We have Qui-Gon Jinn versus Yoda.
Nice.
Another interesting one.
Oh, I don't want to go first.
I mean, it's just being entertaining now. This is great.
So is Qui-Gon going first on this one?
Yeah, Qui-Gon go.
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, Liam Neeson, you have 1 minute. Go.
Okay, Yoda's been in all 6. We're ignoring the last one. He's been in all 6 films, and he's made a reasonable impact, maybe. But he's not in 4. He's in 5 a little bit, and he's a bit in 6, but mainly he just dies in it. he is in the prequels, and he does do a fair bit. But Qui-Gon is in one film, and in that film, he realizes that Anakin is the chosen one. He frees him, and he makes sure that Obi-Wan trains him, and argues against Yoda, who says it's a bad idea. Without Qui-Gon, the Force would never be brought into balance in the long run anyway. Tries to unravel the mystery of the Sith, because he's the one who first confronts Darth Maul, and he trains Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the greatest Jedi to ever live. Think about it, without Qui-Gon, who trained Obi-Wan, none of this would have happened anyway. I can't think of much else to say. Why would anyone pick...
and Yoda, a minute, go.
First off, I have to say one thing about Qui-Gon Jinn. Midi-chlorians. Moving swiftly on, you don't actually find out that Leia is Luke's sibling without that. So without that, you could have had Leia falling in love with Luke and an entirely horrible relationship day on there.
Ew.
There. But no, as I said, Yoda's the most powerful Jedi. He's more powerful than anyone's come before him. He is in 7 as well. Don't forget, he's in Rey's dream as well, giving him that vision. So he is going forward. He helped train, actually did train Qui-Gon. That's the point, though. Without Yoda, you don't get Qui-Gon. So without Yoda, inadvertently, you don't get Anakin coming into the fold. So you bring up the whole point of Qui-Gon training Anakin and recognizing him. Well, without Yoda training Qui-Gon, you don't have that. So isn't Yoda more important than Qui-Gon? Because without Yoda, you don't get Qui-Gon. You don't get the entire progression. I'm sorry, but, Yoda again.
Time. 30 seconds for Qui-Gon. Go.
You're so wrong, it hurts me on a Metachlorian level. Qui-Gon was not trained by Yoda. Count Dooku, as you find out in episode 2. Okay, Yoda is an advisory role, basically, in the first 3 films. And apart from that awkward old man fight with Dooku and the less awkward old man fight with Palpatine, both of which he doesn't exactly win, he doesn't do a lot. He's a general in the Clone Wars, and I'll give him credit for that. But Obi-Wan Kenobi is also a general. So is Mace Windu.
Time.
So it's not Obi-Wan. So...
Yoda, go.
Yeah, okay, you bring up the point of Yoda training Count Dooku, who turned to the dark side. I'm sorry, but Qui-Gon helped train Anakin, who brought about Order 66, with Palpatine killing a crap ton more Jedi than Dooku ever did. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just don't see, Qui-Gon has his good moments, but he also got stabbed right through the middle by Darth Maul, a character who got 5 seconds later got cut in half by Qui-Gon's apprentice.
And time.
It's a low blow, man. It's a low blow. Keep Maul out of it.
Dave, let's hear from you first on this one.
Oh, to be honest, they're both pretty good arguments. But the more powerful argument, I think, has to go for Yoda. Without him, there just isn't this Jedi Order. Well, there is a Jedi Order before him, but the Jedi Order that we see through the films, and then the training of our hero in the original trilogy. So my vote goes to Phil and Yoda.
George?
My vote goes to Yoda. Qui-Gon fought valiantly, but ultimately, like the Phantom Menace, it just wasn't enough. He's just not good enough.
I will agree. I would also vote for Yoda. I did think, Al, you did argue.
You're my brother,
very...
Chris.
The thing that kind of tipped it for me towards Yoda was when, Al, you said that Yoda's in Empire Strikes Back a bit, and that kind of hurt me on a midichlorian level, if you like, because Yoda is critical in that movie and a huge part of that film. So for all of the reasons and more, I'm giving it to Yoda, and he moves through to the next round. Next round? Final? Is it the final? It's the final, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the final of the quarterfinals.
So we know that we have the Emperor and Yoda in the final.
We've got Darth Vader versus R2-D2 still.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we move on to now then.
Darth Vader versus C-3PO. No, what?
Yep.
Darth Vader R2-D2.
A very different argument.
That's Tate's fault. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm up with Darth Vader first.
Yep.
Okay, with Darth Vader against R2-D2, both are iconic characters in the Star Wars franchise. Absolutely, I'm not questioning that. However, really the only novelty with R2 is that, you know, he knows the entire story from the beginning. However, he knows the story. Vader is the story, even from a little annoying boy as Jake Lloyd through to Hayden Christensen, through to the Darth Vader we know and love. He is the story, like it or not. And as Star Wars fans, that is the story we gravitate towards naturally. And Vader is just so cool. Just the design from Ralph McQuarrie's drawings, perfectly realized on camera. His first entrance in A New Hope when the smoke clears and without dialogue, just the breathing and even the soundtrack cuts out. Even in the first movie, we don't get the Imperial March. And that's another thing I could talk about, the music that ties in with the character himself. He has a theme. The Empire have a theme, and it's just so iconic to Vader. Perfectly earns his place in cinema history, and he even has a presence as well in Force Awakens. And R2-D2, go.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah. I talked about R2-D2 in the prequels in the first round. This time around, I'm going to talk about the original trilogy. So without R2-D2, you don't get the plans getting their hands back to the Rebel Alliance. Without that, again, you don't have Luke blowing up the Death Star. Without that, you don't have, again, the saga going forward. I argue R2-D2 is probably the most important character in the saga. Because of him, the entire story moves forward. You know, in Episode 6, he gave Luke his lightsaber, so he was able to save his friends and kill Boba Fett and able Leia to kill Jabba the Hutt and everything else. You know, again, it's a very powerful bit. He sacrificed himself in Episode 6 so that the shield generator could be destroyed. He's there plugging himself in, trying to get it all done, and he gets shot. The one stormtrooper that actually does his job and shoots something, by the way, you know, manages to save everyone by doing that. He is a massive, massive sacrifice and a massive character. And again, Kenny Baker's portrayal of that
And
character.
time. Okay, we're talking about saving people. I would argue that R2, his ability to save people, is kind of like Batman's utility belt from the 60s Batman series. It's kind of, oh, let's just use a gadget to get out of this. And Attack of the Clones, let's talk about the droid factory for a second. R2 has booster rockets, okay, well, why didn't he have those in the original trilogy? It's completely over the top and unrealistic, not unrealistic in Star Wars, but it's completely detracts from the character, and he does become more comedic. Vader is just remains a consistent tone all the way through. He's a force to be reckoned with, and he is the ultimate antagonist and protagonist also. And do we have another rebuttal, or is that it? I've lost track.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, okay, sorry. 30 seconds, go.
Okay. Are you an angel? Let's bring up that one, shall we? Yes, not a little kid going, I don't know what everything is. Are you an angel? Yeah. You've also got the whiniest character in the entire prequels, Anakin, going into Vader. Everything was just terrible. And Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Vader was just this whiny, arrogant, annoying, obnoxious person who should not have been in Episode 6. Yeah, Vader turned back into Anakin Skywalker at the end.
And time.
Hayden Christensen. Sorry, not cool.
Ooh, bringing out the low blows
Shall
at
I
the end. Sure.
Shall I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sending R2-D2 through because he finally brought the original trilogy stuff, and he savaged Darth Vader. Yeah, look at the.
Come on,
prequel.
Hayden Christensen gets a bad rap. Okay, it's not his fault.
You hate Hayden Christensen.
Yes, I do, but it's not his fault.
But no, that's me sending through R2-D2.
Okay.
Don't know about the others.
I will be joining George in sending R2-D2 through. I'm going to take us back to the argument that you brought up about Anakin, and yeah, you're right. It's just awful. This little kid hitting on Natalie Portman with that age difference, that look he gives her at the end of episode 1, this little Jedi outfit. Oh my word! Yeah, that was enough to sell it. So yeah, R2-D2, come on through the final.
And Alistair, just out of curiosity, who would you have voted for?
I think that you made a good point about the comedy that R2 brings to it, and it sort of detracts from his character. However, I think the arguments for Vader weren't as well thought out and as executed as they should have been. So sadly, it has to be R2.
I find all your lack of faith disturbing. Okay, R2 goes on to the final. Vader is out, but his master is still in. So Vader's
his master's
presence
out
is
as
still
well.
felt. Oh wait, what?
Oh no, wait! I thought you meant Obi-Wan. Yeah, his
No.
master.
Robert, yeah, his evil master. Yeah.
We have an updated bracket. There are 4 more dead people. We have a smithereen of Grand Moff Tarkin in the Death Star explosion. We have strangled Jabba the Hutt. We have Qui-Gon Jinn's belly button piercing, and Darth Vader's funeral pyre.
Just golden
Love it,
crispy
love
on that
it.
funeral pyre.
Although his mask's not on there and it appears charred in episode 7,
And
question
you're
mark.
talking with the giant onion ring.
But
So,
we have a semi-final: Luke Skywalker versus Emperor Palpatine,
ooh.
and Phil with Yoda versus R2D2 with himself.
Could be
Which,
an excellent argument, yeah.
Dave, I'm going to give you R2 when we come to that one.
Oh, that's not okay.
My favourite characters. That's all you bought to celebrate. Actually, I convinced you to buy the Sideshow collectibles at Celebration. I'll give you R2 with this one. Oh, a terrible influence, and he knows it.
and
So-
Dave's building one. Who's ready? Are you ready for Luke versus Emperor? Chris versus Al?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Wait. So
who's going first?
Luke.
Luke is going first.
Okay.
Okay, remember, everyone, this is the final, so you get an extra 30 seconds.
Semi-finals.
Semi-final. Oh, sorry, my bad. Same again. Ignore me. A minute for Luke. Go.
Okay. So you have the Emperor who's taken forever to get to power, and yes, creates this glorious empire which everyone is trying to destroy because no one bloody likes it. And you get to episode 6, where he's trying to turn Luke, because he's turned Vader. He thinks he can turn the last Skywalker, or he thinks it's the last Skywalker because he doesn't know about Leia. He thinks he can finally rule the galaxy, and yet Luke goes, yes, I might have some anger and some daddy issues, but I will not be turned. I am a Jedi like my father before me. I'm sorry, without that, you don't get Vader turning back to the light side. You don't get the Emperor being destroyed. Luke, again, is one of the most important, if not the most important characters throughout this series. I mean, throughout the saga. And yeah, he goes through and after all this, helps set up the New Republic and his Jedi Academy. He helps go on to save countless lives from the tyranny.
Palpatine, right? Yeah, Palpatine.
Yep.
A minute on the clock. Go.
Okay, well, for the majority of it, Luke doesn't seem to know really what he's doing. He kind of drifts from one place to another, whereas Palpatine knows what he's doing at every single stage, except for the bit at the end with Vader. Apart from that, he knows exactly what he's doing and manipulating absolutely everyone and everything. But where you could argue he falls down is his hubris. However, he's shown over and over again that he is what's going on. Say, like with Anakin, when he explains that he's the Dark Lord. Anakin's there with a lightsaber. He could strike him down, and he could feel his anger, and he just entices him to turn him to the dark side, just as he does with Luke, and he almost does it at the end. Strikes him down, but Vader's there. It just shows how much confidence he exudes, and he knows exactly what's going on. He knows that Luke's going to try and hit him, and he knows that Vader's going to stop. He's examined every single angle except the one with Vader, obviously. So he's definitely the most important character. Entire
Stop.
6 series.
Stop. 30 seconds for Luke. Go.
Again, you talk about the Emperor thinking he can convert Luke, and he doesn't. That is his worst failure. You think, he has this entire grand plan, and it all falls flat because Luke is stronger than him. Without that, you don't save the galaxy. And that's the whole point, bringing balance to the Force. The Emperor is there trying to take over the galaxy. Vader is supposed to bring balance to the Force, but Luke is ultimately the one who brings balance to the Force.
Palpatine, go.
It is not Luke who brings balance to the Force. It is his dad. It is Vader. But that's a side issue, okay? The point is, Palpatine does know exactly what's going on the whole time. He's planned it so well. Ian McDiarmid's performance is sublime. Think about every single stage. You can feel his sincerity, or rather his false sincerity. And that whole duplicitousness is incredible acting. The scene in the opera when he turns to Anakin and explains the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise and bringing out that ace card, it's absolutely
And stop.
penetrates his mind.
Okay. George.
Doesn't Luke get another rebuttal?
Does he get another rebuttal? Have we done? I thought we'd done
No,
rebuttals.
there was two.
First, and then I have the bottle.
Yeah.
George.
These are some of my favourite characters. I'm in a tough stance because both icons are strong, However, I'm going to put Luke through because he had the advantage of doing the whole Luke versus Palpatine debacle, in which Luke, did eventually lead to Vader turning on Emperor. So in theory, Luke defeats him in that, but that's what Phil argued, which just gave him the stronger argument. And there's more of an anti-Emperor argument than anti-Luke. So I'm going to send through Luke Skywalker.
Dave, how about you?
I'm going to go the opposite way and Palpatine. It's so close. Both are actually excellent, but bringing up the whole scene of watching the ballet and the Darth Plagueis telling of the story, that manipulation, that's one of my favorite scenes in the prequel trilogy, and that's sold it for me. Palpatine.
I will agree as well with Dave. I will go Palpatine, and I did think you weren't going to mention McDermott at all. You kind of got it in there in like the last 10 seconds or so. So I'm glad you did. It was kind of hasty done. I would have liked to see you develop that a little bit more. Nevertheless, you did get that in. You did get the Plagueis part in, and you did really emphasize how much, even from Phantom Menace all the way through to Return of the Jedi, his evil is spreading and his manipulation.
I should be watching your career with great interest.
I did like the argument.
Enough said.
I did think that Luke argued valiantly as well, but I think overall I've got to give it to Palpatine.
Luke is my favourite character, so that was a tough one for me.
Luke's one of my favourite characters too. He really is.
That was probably my toughest so far. Well, I had to. That's one of the best. Well done on that one, but ooh.
That means I'm in the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say that when we do originally announce the characters, we do it like on a Skype call when we come up with the bracket itself. My number one on my list of character that I wanted to put through for myself was Luke, but Phil, you beat me to it, so then I went Han Solo after that. But
the first round was so Titanic.
Yeah, definitely. So Palpatine is through to the final, and now we have it's Yoda versus R2.
Yeah.
So, Master Yoda, your time begins. I was going to try and do backward speech there, but I'm not Frank Oz. I couldn't come up with it.
I was really surprised there hasn't been one Yoda impression yet.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come up now. Now you've said that at some point. But nice. But a minute for Yoda. Go.
I won't do the whole thing. The voice has to be too hard. Okay, we have R2. This little droid, again, the comedic factor for the prequels. Again, I love R2, hence why I put him forward. But, again, as people have said, that characterization was greatly destroyed. Yoda, in the prequels, he's a bit dull. He lays back in Episode 1. Episode 2, he's a bit more forefront. Episode 3, he finally comes to fore. And he's the only one that can take on the Emperor and live to tell the tale, apart from Luke at the end. He's the only one that can actually deflect Force lightning. I mean, without that, it's meaningless. He would have died, in the first few minutes. He helped so many people. Yeah, again, the whole Order 66 and that puppet portrayal again in Episode 5 and 6. You forget that in Episode 6, again, he's still that puppet. It's still his death scene is one of the most emotional points in the entire saga. You have him passing away and such back to Luke.
So R2D2 is deferred over to Dave, so you're arguing for R2D2. You have a minute on the clock.
Phil, to play against yourself. R2D2, starting out as that original sketch from Ralph McQuarrie that we see so many times in all the extras on the Blu-rays and things, to this fully formed bucket with a guy inside, but portrayed so well with every rock, every turn of the head, the beeps and whistles that were put in by Ben Burt. Everything that builds that character just makes me smile when he's on screen. He really is the one character I love R2D2. I absolutely adore him. I just think Yoda, yes, we talk about the puppet again, but let's go back to the Episode 1 puppets that they had to change to a CG character because everyone just thought that's not Yoda. That maybe they tried to make him too lifelike, and that made it. So yeah, R2D2 throughout, he is there to kind of guide people through and to help as much as he can. And I just think without
back to Yoda.
Yeah, you talk about them having to replace Puppet Yoda with CG Yoda in Episode 1. What about replacing the actual R2D2 with CG R2 in Attack of the Clones that whole droid factory scene is diabolical. I don't know anyone who actually enjoys that particular piece. I mean, them flying around and being all cheeky and smart-arsey, no one likes that. I'm sorry, but, you know, R2 does a few good things, but he's senile in the head, and he doesn't even get a memory wipe, and he needs one desperately.
Wow. And stop. And back to R2, 30 seconds. Go.
I don't think we should be allowed to use Attack of the Clones because it's all awful. R2 can't help that. That's not his fault. He didn't want to be a CG character, I heard. He wanted to be there on set. They wouldn't allow him in. There's some bad things have been said between people. Anthony Daniels mainly, who's like, no, I don't want him there. Ugh. He hated him. But so I just can't get away from how this is. I mean, it's a very personal thing. This character means so much to me. He was he was an actual hero. Oh.
It's so tough for the time, isn't it? It's so tough for the time. Okay, I'll go first on this one. I think I'll say I'm giving it to Yoda on this one. However, I will say that Dave, you did argue brilliantly for it. The whole bringing up Ben Burt, I'm glad he's got some mention on this podcast tonight because what he has done for Star Wars is fantastic. And I do like your point you brought up at the end, how you can't really blame R2 being CGI because that was out of everyone's hands. That was George Lucas's decision, whoever's decision it was. But I think that Phil had a lot more arguments for Yoda. Both are fantastic characters, and both are Phil's picks anyway.
Yeah,
so, ultimately it's a win-win. So,
Yes.
I'm putting Yoda through on this one. Alistair?
I felt both arguments were pretty equally matched, really. I totally agree. R2 is just a great fun character to have on the screen. It's great to watch him. He's really fun. I know Yoda's really important to the story, but we're talking about the best character, not the most important character. So I think we have to go R2.
Oh, okay. Decider is on George.
I thought this was a very intriguing argument, especially given Dave had like 2 minutes to prepare to fight R2-D2. But I think the stronger argument was made for Yoda. I thought the attack on R2 was stronger than the attack on Yoda, although there was the horrible puppet, which I'm glad was brought up. However, he got in with the whole flying the droid factory stuff that really did hamper R2-D2 as a character.
There's no comeback from that.
I'm sending Yoda through to the final.
Otherwise, it's R2 versus Sheev. Who's going to win that one?
So we have our final. Do we have an updated image, George?
If you give me approximately 3 seconds.
R2 doesn't have a death. You can just keep him like when he gets blown up and everything fries out from Return of the Jedi.
If we have a look, we have 2 characters that haven't died in the film, so I showed the closest they came to it.
Oh,
we have Luke going off into a bucket and R2 when he gets stuck in the shield generator, both using a. But now we have the final, which is also the battle of the 2 masters, the Master of the Force and the Sith, that is Emperor Sheev.
Awesome final.
Brilliant.
Which is Alistair versus Phil. 2 debuts, 2 finalists.
That's worked out so well.
So now we have our updated time. So this is the round where you have the extra 30 seconds. So for your initial argument, you'll be arguing 1:30, and for your rebuttal, you now have 1 minute. So there's a lot to talk about. It's quite a lot of time to fill 90 seconds, but do your absolute best. So Sheev is up first. Palpatine, are you ready for your argument? Okay.
Yes, Sheev. I'm the same.
Hello?
Hello? Do we still have you, Alistair? Okay, 90 seconds now.
Oh my, you cannot understate the importance of Sheev Palpatine. From the very beginning, I mean, even if you ignore the theory that Darth Plagueis created Anakin, think about how Palpatine has risen from being a lowly senator on a very small jungle planet, Naboo, an empire that he created. Firstly, he created the problem on Naboo and used that to have a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum to get himself catapulted to the Senate at a higher level. That's incredible. I mean, the sheer Machiavellianism. From that, he was able to get emergency powers because he not only created the clones, but therefore the Separatist war. This is under the nose of the Jedi, whilst pretending to be Cypher Deers to get that to happen. Then, of course, he ends up blaming the Jedi for trying to kill him and using them as a scapegoat. And then finally becoming Emperor, being elected an Emperor. And then, of course, he dissolves the Senate. Whilst at the same time turning Anakin. Think about the gambit he had to go through there. And there's Anakin there with his lightsaber out, wanting to kill him, and he's just arguing his way out of it, and he can talk his way out of it, just as he almost did with Luke. He knows exactly what's going on the whole time. He's calculated every move, and he's a fantastic wordsmith. Ian McDermott plays it sublimely. He's so cold and calculating, and yet there's this air of cold sincerity that breezes through in every word.
R2D2, 90 seconds, go.
You mean Yoda?
Yoda.
Yeah.
Oh, Yoda, sorry, Yoda. 90 seconds, go.
The Emperor. I'm sorry. Count Dooku was Cypher Deus, and he was the one that tricked them into creating the clone army, not the Emperor, as you so kindly put it. And Yoda, as I said, where do we start? The only one that can stand toe-to-toe with the Emperor and live without having to give himself up. Luke unfortunately went, okay, I've had enough of this, I quit. Whereas Yoda was able to reflect and deflect the Force lightning. Saving, also, don't forget, he also does in episode 2, where he saved Obi-Wan, and he saved Anakin. So again, he saved, with that whole thing of running away, and kind of with Dooku running away and all the rest of it, Yoda was able to save everyone to give balance to the Force in the end. You need Yoda to push everyone in the right direction. And yes, the Emperor got there in the end, and created this grand galactic empire. But again, you say he was elected. He wasn't. He took over and went, okay, I have my emergency powers. I am reshaping this into the galactic empire. This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. Not by him being elected, but he actually took control. So you don't even know your own arguments on that one, I must admit. But, Yoda here was able to create a resistance with Luke and with Obi-Wan and just about get to the end of it and help Luke and help train him. And at the end of it, he was also left how he was supposed to be, as a puppet, not kind of being turned into some horrible Hayden Christensen.
Stop. Back to Palpatine, so you have a minute on this one. Go.
Okay. I think, no. Okay, even if it was Dooku, and it's not actually said in the films who it was, who pretended to be Cypher Deus, it might even been him, who created the clone army. It was obviously under the direction of Palpatine, as the clones automatically, directly answered only to him. And when he said Order 66, they all did it across the entire galaxy. He's the one in charge, even if it was him using Dooku as a conduit, as it were. Now, has been great, I'll give him that. He's trained a lot of Jedi. However, he's never been able to achieve as much as Palpatine has been able to achieve. In fact, Palpatine was able to, in one fell swoop, destroy pretty much 90 to 100% of the Jedi archives and the Jedi themselves. Think about how much power and planning that must have taken, because the Jedi are Force sensitive. Clones aren't. Clones are subservient and they're almost like droids. They're superior, but they're not.
Time. How much power? Some would say unlimited power. A minute back to Yoda. Go.
The Emperor, again, crumbled into blindness when he was fighting against Mace Windu. He wasn't even able to defeat him convincingly. He had to have Anakin chop off Mace Windu's hand. Yes, the Emperor creates this galactic empire. He only gets there by a series of circumstances. Yes, he helps create some of them, but with Anakin does not get there without Qui-Gon being able to free him. A lot of the Emperor's grand plans are all circumstances that he didn't put in place. Like Anakin coming into the fold. Like he was able to twist him and convert him into the dark side, but without Qui-Gon, without Yoda actually allowing Anakin to be trained, he doesn't even twist him in the first place. And again, Yoda's able to train Luke to help Luke then turn Vader back and bring balance to the Force. So although the Emperor creates his grand schemes, all undone by Yoda.
And stop. Right, George, I would like to implement what we did last time, where we ask the fighters for a single sentence as to why they're the greatest Star Wars character. Should we do that to round off the arguments?
Yeah.
Okay, so Al, in one sentence, why is Emperor Palpatine the greatest Star Wars character of all time?
He always knows what other characters are thinking and feeling and what they're going to do and their motivations.
And Phil, why is Yoda the greatest Star Wars character of all time?
Because without Yoda, you don't get Luke being able to turn Vader to the light side. You don't get balance being brought back to the Force. I'm sorry, but the Emperor's overconfidence is his weakness.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? I really don't want to go first on this
I
one.
must say, well thought on that one, Al. That was bloody tough.
Yeah, that was a fantastic fight.
They're brilliant arguments, yeah.
I love how it's the Emperor and Yoda.
The same arguments with the same vitriol.
Yeah, no, it is. I don't want to go first on this one because I haven't made up my mind. Okay, go on, George.
I'm not the biggest fan of Yoda. I'm a massive fan of Palpatine.
However, I feel a however coming.
Yeah, no, literally.
However,
I think the Yoda argument was stronger. He brought more of Yoda to the character, whereas you're right, with Palpatine, a lot of it is repeated, as is some of Yoda's. I thought the argument was fresher. And it wasn't brought up that Palpatine defeated Yoda in the duel.
Oh,
well, yeah, but it's about the best character, not about whose dick's bigger than whose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you did that, then you've got even more of a reason to say why Palpatine was better character than Yoda, because he defeated him in
I
the
feel
duel.
that's more point scoring than winning the argument.
That's the same thing. The same
I'm
thing.
sure.
It's a cheap shot that would have won at you. That's why I'm putting Yoda through. The Yoda argument was stronger.
I'm sure Sheev is adequately endowed, but Dave, have you arrived at a decision out of the two arguments?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to make this tough on you, Chris, as I'm going to go the opposite way, and I feel the Palpatine argument was the stronger argument. Over all of this, throughout all of the rounds, I just feel there's so much more behind Palpatine's character from when we meet him all the way through the saga, even to his ultimate demise, which, yes, he kind of brings upon himself, but yeah, my vote goes to Palpatine.
Oh, Christ. This is the situation I did not want to be in at all. Again, I love both of these characters so much, you have no idea. I love both of them. Both of them have their positive qualities in different way. However, based on the arguments, and both were argued brilliantly, I think I am going to have to sway it slightly towards Palpatine.
Unlimited power!
Damn it!
Phil, although you did bring up a lot of the points, and that Al didn't, in the lore in terms of the story with Cypher Dis and things, I think that Al went into a little bit more in depth into his character about how much he's plotted, how much impact he had on the franchise as a whole. Not to say Yoda hasn't. However, I think in the arguments, he really did illustrate each individual point all the way through the saga. So it's tough. I'd have to give it to Palpatine for that one. But both.
Well played, gents. Well played.
Well done. Well done.
If you guys look at the screen, I should have the final bracket. No, I don't. Let me open it.
Oh, well, we
Sorry,
were all looking as well.
If you continue to look, it should appear in 3, 2, 1. Magic. There is an image of
Look at that.
fading Yoda
face.
and Sheev is smiling. In theory, I should have used many of the images of Palpatine, but he looks so smug there.
He does.
Yeah.
But that is our winner, Senator Chancellor Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Greatest Star Wars
played.
character.
You win.
And now he can add winner of Battle of the Brackets to his never-ending list of titles.
Exactly. I think this was fun.
This was really
It
fun.
was very
Good time, gents. Good time,
I'd like to see
team.
a bonus round at some point where we can rag we have to rag on our favourite characters.
That would be interesting. I don't know if I could do that though. My heart's attached to my favourite character so
No.
much.
You have to.
Well thought on
That'd be
that
brilliant.
one. That was tough. That was really tough to sell Yoda on that one. I have to give you a well done on that one.
I'm just very... I think it was very good for 3 new debutants. I know I was kind of
Definitely.
judged it, but he's never fought. Is it quite different to what you
No.
expected?
About the same.
Um,
I've got into the argument, sort of consider mine at the same time, sort of. Yeah.
I do want to say, though, not wrapping things up, but in general, we will be doing another Star Wars Battle of the Brackets this month. It will be coming after Rogue One, and it will be the best Star Wars moment. So
Nice.
there may be Rogue One moments that make it in there. There may not. It could be terrible. It could be amazing. We don't know until 25 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
But I just wanted to pin that now. We will be coming back for another Star Wars one. It's been very fun doing Star Warsy stuff, and I'm going to be fighting in that next one. I'm not judging that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was an interesting one because, I mean, you are such a big Star Wars fan not to get you on this one, but it's going to be great for the next one. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the fighters tonight, Al, Phil and Dave. And Phil and Dave, if you'd like to pitch your YouTube channels, where can people find you on the glorious internet? And we'll wrap up after that.
Oh, Dave, go first.
Yeah, you can find me at the cleverly titled The Life of Brien, stolen from nowhere in particular, but spelled differently. So yeah, Life of Brien, Brien, as opposed to anything by a comedy group from the BBC. Yeah, my channel is on Instagram as well as on YouTube. Starting to get a nice few followers on there. I do unboxings of the Star Wars helmet collection, which I've kind of got behind me over there, the Marvel movie collection. I've also just signed up for the D'Agostini build an R2-D2, which is coming out in January, and also the build a DeLorean from Eagle Moss, the 1/12 scale. So I'll be doing those as well. And general reviews, if they come along for anything that really takes my fancy, and things like that. Trailers, yeah. All good. Life of Brien. Come join me.
Awesome.
I also have to say on that one, check out Dave's video of the building the RCS R2. I really quite enjoyed that one, actually. Yeah, so it's not only me, it's actually Adele here as well. She has been sat here quietly, along with my cat here. But yeah, we are the Bucket of Awesomeness. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're across the board on that one. Yeah, again, we do unboxings, we do cosplay reviews. I mean, I've got my Spider-Man I still haven't done that one. But again, we do quite a wide variety of things on there. So my laptop unboxing was one of the last ones we did. And we're going to try and get Adele more involved in the channel. So you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all there. I've got a bunch of cool stuff hopefully coming in the new year. I've been doing a load of the Black Series unboxings as well, which the last one I did was actually Luke, which is why I picked him first overall, because when I was at Celebration, you can watch my vlogs from that, which is where I met George and where I met the rest of the guys, and I met Dave and things. You know, where I met Mark Hamill and got his autograph on the VHS. I mean, this is the thing, just to kind of give you guys out there an explanation as to why I got this shirt in particular. Is my dad took me to see the films in 1997. Without that, you don't have what I personally do for a living. I'm not really going to broadcast that on the internet, but you don't have what I do for a living. You don't have a lot of things in my life. So Star Wars means a lot, and to get that was cool. So you can see that whole video on there. You can see my vlogs. You see videos from Adele and this cat, which is also named Hera, by the way, after Captain Harrison. Take off. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. Go check it out. We'd love to get more subscribers and followers on that. And of course, check out Cinema Savvy and check out The Life of Brien.
Thanks, Matt. And we'll have links to all of your channels. Go subscribe to there. And as always, subscribe to our channel too, Cinema Savvy. We'll have a lot more content coming this month. As we are in Star Wars month, in anticipation for Rogue One, which is tomorrow. That's insane. I can't believe how quick it's come around since Force Awakens last year. We will have more videos. We will have a predictions video pre-screening tomorrow. That will be me and George on that one, sort of talking about what we think is going to happen, what things we can expect from the film. And we will also have our review fresh out of this film. Very, very tired, about 3 or 4 in the morning for us, but we will have a review for that. And yeah, more Battle of the Brackets, more awesome Star Wars content, as well as movie reviews and reaction videos from me. So go subscribe to everyone else's channel, and thank you to everyone that tuned in and watched us tonight. Let us know in the comments who your favorite Star Wars character was. Do you agree with who we picked as the best one, or would you like to have seen someone else? Please do drop the comments. And yeah, that'll do it from us tonight. So thank you for everyone that watched. Thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
And
Dicks out for Qui-Gon.
we have now joined Instagram. I don't really have a clue about Instagram, but I'm using it. We're getting many likes, so check out cinema_savvy on that. Which look incredible for this month. And we might be doing Home from Star Wars tomorrow. Predictions will be a Google Hangout. We might even have Tate on his journey from Austria. He wants to Skype us tomorrow. We're going to try and make that a hangout to join him on our Rogue One predictions. So hopefully we have him back to the channel for one night only. But yeah, stick around, plenty of Star Wars stuff, subscribe to everyone here, and hopefully we're all on again. And if you guys want to, definitely come back for great Star Wars moments.
Thanks, gents. It's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
been great fun. Definitely back for more.